So we are going to talk about Bitcoin, a very controversial subject, but I'm not going to enter into the deep of it. I'm not going to enter into the technology. We all have been here about it and the blockchain. I will try to shine a light on the big picture. Why this makes sense and why this matter and why eventually it will change the world. Why people is saying this. So I'd like to start by telling the story of how I got involved with Bitcoin. And it was 3 years ago. A friend came to me and said, why don't you join me in this startup in Palo Alto in California? That's where I live. And my first reaction was, fuck no. Look at this. All I knew about Bitcoin was it was this internet money being used to buy and sell drugs. Most people were saying there was a Ponzi scheme, and there was people going to jail just for getting involved with it. So why? And honestly, I didn't saw any value about it. Why we need Bitcoin? I have my credit card, I have my bank account, the money is already digital, so why we need this? It's redundant. And my friend said, look, Tiburcio, you know what? Your brain is too poisoned. It's contaminated with first world problems. You're thinking too much on how to write a smart tweet, how to take a selfie if your phone is not the latest one. You need to look at the big picture here. This is not just any money. This is not money for the internet. This is the internet of money. And this is the important part, this money is made and run by computer algorithms. So there's no fucking idiot who can break it. And that resonated in me because I grew up in Argentina. And we have a lot of idiots there, you Brazilians will agree, and we destroy the economy every 10 years, like a clock. Every 10 years we see the same pattern. Inflation, hyperinflation, banks shutting down, the government confiscating our money. And then you're stuck in this spiral of debt. And you Brazilians, you had it too. And you have a record. Because Brazil, and this is something that I found when I was researching for this presentation, had 1 quadrillion % inflation since 1964 until the Plan Real. You fabricated a lot of money. Cruzado, Cruzeiro, Cruzado Novo, Cruzeiro Real. But I don't know. I mean, I got completely lost. But we think that this will not happen again, right? We got over. But if we look right next to us, it's happening. And big time. I asked a customer from our company to send me this picture. She's from Venezuela. How much money do you think that she's holding there? $143. She can use that money as toilet paper and she will get a better deal. Because actually you cannot buy toilet paper in Venezuela. That's the reality. And in 2008, we saw it on a global scale. And this exposed something disturbing. Because it was not just the bubble of the mortgage crisis, but it was to discover that these big financial institutions, these big banks, were too big to fail. If they go down, we go down. When we sign it up for that, when I assign it that level of attachment, when I give away that right, well, maybe because we put everything that we earn there. Maybe that's the reason. And how we resolve it is fucked up. We resolve it by printing fucking money. Lots of it. And we know how that ends. We really know how that ends because you Brazilians, I'm Argentinian, the Venezuelans know how this ends. And it's not unlikely that if we continue this path, this is basically our future. Talking about idiots, you know. But This is it. Be ready. This is going. So what happened? In 2008, during this whole financial fuck up, a guy by the alias of Satoshi Nakamoto, that's not his name, it's an alias. We don't know who the guy is. It's not probably one person, it's a group of persons, published this paper with a very boring title, Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. How boring is that? But this paper, which is only 8 pages long, triggered this whole thing that people is saying that is going to disrupt the whole financial system and the world. But why? Why this can generate it? And I go back to what my friend told me, and I said that it was the internet of money. That is the key to the answer. Bitcoin and the blockchain, the network, works pretty much like the internet. If you think, let's make an analogy. Think on how information was stored, knowledge was stored before the internet. It was in these contained silos of information, and we were forced to believe that what that big newspaper was saying, what the TV was saying, was the right thing. And most of the time, those medias were aligned with corrupt leaders or other interests, the financial interest. So we tend to believe that that was the truth. And then the internet changed everything. Information was power, and we got that power back. So what Bitcoin gives us the opportunity is to get that power, that sign-off, that we didn't even know how ever happened, back to us. So how this works, and this is a little crazy, so hopefully I can explain. So this is the old system. The old financial system is a centralized black box. When we put the money in the bank, we don't know what happens. We know that money goes up and down. We know that if we transfer money, we are charged with a lot of fees, but we don't know what is going on. What Bitcoin does is takes the middleman, takes the banks, takes the clearing houses, take everything that is in between me and you out of the way. That's exactly how the internet works. It's peer-to-peer. I don't need an authority. It's just a decentralized open network. Everybody can get in. I don't need permission. No government can censor it. No government can shut it down. Bitcoin is not a company. It's not a corporation. It's not a group of people. It's a software. And everybody with a mobile phone or a computer can use it to transfer value, money, across the world without permission. That is disruption. And the way it works is a little crazy, as I said, because what this is really is a network of nodes with everybody, you, me, everybody who participates in the network stores in their computers the whole story of all the transactions that ever happened in this network. That is called the blockchain, and you may hear about it. What is the blockchain? That. The whole story of every single Bitcoin transaction that ever happened. But the key question here, and this is the key Bitcoin innovation, how you bring consensus. If you remove the middleman, if you remove the clearinghouse, how you make those nodes agree that I send money to you and not immediately do, how you fix that? And the way, and this is the key innovation in the paper, the way that that's resolved is removing the trust that you put on a central authority in computing power. And this computing power is applied in a crazy way. So every 10 minutes in this network, all these nodes, you, me, and whoever is participating in the networks, collect all the transactions that happen. And then we start a race. We start a race to resolve a mathematical puzzle. It's like a quebracabeza, but very, very hard. So you need a lot of computing power. And the first node that resolved that puzzle is allowed to put those blocks of transactions into the blockchain. And this is the other important thing. If you resolve the puzzle, then you receive a reward in Bitcoin. And that completes the ecosystem, and that's actually how Bitcoins are created. That reward that you get by resolving the puzzle Those are new Bitcoins, new mint Bitcoins. So I talk about computing power, but I want to give you the dimension. This is a Bitcoin mining farm in China. Just to give you the dimension of the computing power, this is the biggest supercomputer in the world. The Bitcoin network, not just this, all the network. It has the capacity of around 100 times Google. It's 10,000 more powerful than the top 500 supercomputers all combined. It's the biggest computing machine the human race has ever seen. It's not a joke anymore. I cannot be stopped. So this is the other key thing about Bitcoin. You know what happens when you print money? Well, with Bitcoin, you are sure that it's only going to be 21 million Bitcoins by 2140. Because the algorithm, the computers control that. I told you that you receive Bitcoin as a reward for resolving blocks. Well, this is the pattern. Every 4 years, the reward halves. And every 4 years, it halves until the last Bitcoin will be created. This is a deflationary currency. It will appreciate in time as opposed to the fiat currency that we know that inflates in time. But so what? How this is going to change our life? How it's going to impact us? Well, we don't know. Because this is like looking the internet in '94. So if you try to predict Facebook, if you ever try to predict Google, you will not be able to do it. You will make some silly assumptions. Think about email in '92. That's where we are. But we are seeing some changes. For example, my friend in Venezuela, she can get outside this spiral loop of debt. She takes all that crap, which is Bolivares, and he can switch it to Bitcoin, and she can get out. No matter how much the government wants to restrict their access to exchange, like the dollar, she can get out because Bitcoin is open, and if you have a connection to the internet, you can use it. And there's no way that a government can shut it down. It's censorship resistant, like the internet. There's one case. When WikiLeaks was publishing the Snowden articles, back in the day, the US government said, okay, so Visa, MasterCard, banks, stop. No more funding to the WikiLeaks. So what? They turned to Bitcoin immediately, and that was it. So you can start seeing a little bit of why this matters. The other thing that everybody talks about is remittances. That's a tax on the poor. Every time that you move money from country to country, you get a tax of sometimes 20%, and it takes 3 days, and you don't know if when the money arrives, you will be able to get it. You probably don't care. You are part of the 1%, probably of the 1% of the world. But if you're making $200 and then somebody cuts 20% of that, that matters. And Bitcoin, because it makes everything so efficient, takes the middleman completely out, removes those fees. So you can transfer money anywhere in the world, no matter if it's $1 million or $200 with no fees today. You can do it today. And this is a reality check. No matter what we talk about the financial system, only half of the world population have access to that. Most of the people in this world don't have access to anything regarding the financial system. In Brazil, it's 48%. Somebody told me yesterday, 48% of the people don't have any access to the financial system. And we know that prosperity comes from that. Bitcoin is an option. It's a light of hope that may change that. So, is this going to work? Is it going to go to the moon, I would like to say? I don't know. Probably it's going to end like that. I don't care. Because when you think about it, if you look, the impact it may have, it tells you that your heart is on the right side of the game. So I think that, even with all the risks, that we saw, it's a good thing to take a chance. So that was it, and thank you.